Hey, 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 blessed people. I've got about, sorry, I've got about 5 minutes. Give people a chance to sign on, run upstairs and get my drink. Can't wait to get back. Man, I've got some, what is that? Mandarin? No, amaretto and blood orange. A three candle burning. Man, it smells good down here. It always does because I'm always burning something. But man, it's sweet tonight. I hope you've had a blessed day. Hey, let me explain this early. The reason I'm not in my normal shirt and tie, I had to get cranking this morning. I woke up about 4 o'clock. Had to get to the hospital. Not for me, but I had to get to the hospital for an early morning procedure, and everything went well. Blessed, blessed, blessed. But I figured rather than burn up energy changing, because I decided to go casual, didn't feel like doing all the ironing, all that stuff early in the morning. So just decided to kind of take it easy getting there. So I'm saving the energy instead of doing all of that, saving my energy for you. All right. And I'm fired up. I'm going to go get a Red Bull, so it doesn't matter. In a few minutes, I'll be, yeah. All right. See you in a minute. Man, do I need a hat? It's cold down here. Good gracious. It doesn't matter what I do, it's always cool in the cave. I got on shorts tonight. If you're listening, I did a men's conference this weekend, this past weekend, and we had an opportunity to talk about legacy and different things like that. What was real exciting is the heart of men and talking about harmony and coming together and making a difference with other young men and being a part of their lives. And not only the commitments to do that, but there were young men that were there. And it was just man, in some places, church is trying to look like the church. It's not all bad or uphill or whatever. Oh, I do feel like I need a hat, man. I also didn't shave my head. I don't know if I've told you or not, but some people ask me, when did you lose your hair? I did not. I have to shave my head every 2 or 3 days. You start seeing the little buds coming up. I like it bald, but yeah. All right, so Corvette clock is about to go off. I think I can taper this down just a tad. I don't know. It's a pretty exciting topic, so I'm always excited. But I might easily outdo the music. Okay. Let's get this show on the road. Hello. Hope you're blessed. I'm going to keep an eye on the clock tonight. I did not finish last week, but I'm going to tell you why I didn't. Because, I just find a good place to stop, and that may happen this week. I'm not going to cheat you out of this information, and I'm not going to in any way whatsoever not be thorough, right? Because there have already been just a little bit. I mean, a little bit. I don't want to make this sound like a fish story, but there's been some scrutiny of what I've done. Just a few people questioning things. And, I can't do it with everybody, but this particular person, I spent quite a bit of time. I think you're slow. Quite a bit of time explaining things and breaking some things down. And I absolutely enjoy doing it. I am very careful, very cautious. If anything, I'm going to study too much, not too little, to make sure that what I say to you is accurate. So anyway, just I don't want to cheat you. I want to put my time in. And if that means that I got to stop somewhere and start over and figure out how to fill up that space, there's so much information, I don't have to worry about that really. But, I'm just not, I got to make sure you get all of this, okay? So anyway, welcome. We are here in the man cave. I'm your host, right? Trying to make you the smartest person in the room. And I know I'm going fast, but, I'm just blessed to be with you, right? Always blessed to be with you, to teach on this subject, to work on making you the smartest person in the room. It means something to me, all right? So here every Wednesday and on Monday, okay, both days, 8 p.m. If you are watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry, watching this on YouTube, which is the Urban Apologetics channel on YouTube. I am also on Jackie Jackson Facebook. I've got more than one, so you got to make sure that you get to the right one. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, watching this on Facebook, getting it backwards because I already got stuff going on in my head. All right, if you're watching this on Facebook, I'm also on YouTube. Want you to like, subscribe, and please share the information that you get. Now, tonight, as I have always been saying, is adult Bible story study time, story time. But not because, again, tonight, I'm not going to say anything that is gross, but you may have your own way that you want to explain this to your kids. So this is our time. And you can figure out how to make it palatable to them, how to make it make sense to them. Okay, that's very, very important, right? Again, now, if your kids are in the room, again, I'm not going to say anything gross tonight or controversial in the sense that, there's a sexual component or some tragedy that I'm talking about. So there's none of that that's going to be going on. So they can stay tonight, but you may have your own preference as to how you want to handle this. I also thought tonight would be a good night to do a reminder of what birthed all of this for me, why I'm doing this in the first place. And it has to do with the fact, first of all, that there are young black men and women that when they reach adulthood, they're leaving the church. And it's because they have no apologetic, meaning the ability to explain why they believe what they believe. Now, they grew up in church. They know all the Bible stories, right? But they got all these challenges in life that are around them. And we may not have even told them. They may know a few stories, maybe a few black biblical stories, but what they don't know is how to defend themselves in the gospel. So it doesn't have as much power as it should when you've got somebody else that's coming along saying, hey, you can join our group. There's brotherhood. Did you feel that at church? Right? But mainly when they're calling the gospel, the white man's gospel, there are things they don't understand. They don't understand that the black man is follower of civilization, and it's proven by black biblical history. The Bible and science are agreeing. That's the title for tonight. Science and the Bible agree. And when science and the Bible are agreeing, this is the kind of thing that you learn. This is what you learn. This is what you pick up on, because you realize that you can trace these black folks. Man, it is one of the more I look at this, and I'm not becoming angry, but I have to be real about this. The more I look at this, the more I realize this is one of the taking black people out of the narrative is one of the greatest atrocities that has ever happened in this world. I'm getting ready to show you some stuff, man. I'm wondering if you can actually wrap your head around what I'm going to say. Now, I'm going to prove it. You can look it up later. But putting the Bible and science together, man, is something else. I'm encouraged. I'm excited. I'm fascinated. Science is finally catching up, and the more research they do, the better it looks. Right? Because I got stuff that's starting like in 2010 and moving to today, but there's a lot of great research that's going on. But you go back sometimes further than that, and you got one or two things. You either got people that are skewing the truth but calling themselves scholars, but they can get away with it because white culture let them do that. Right? Either denial or just flat out lying. But let me just jump ahead. But when you look at it today, what you are seeing is the truth comes out, and there are too many people that are putting their eyes on the research that's being done for you to just tell an out and out lie. Now, there'll be some stuff, we'll talk about evolution tonight, or there's some evolution works that are in this. I agree with the skin color of the people. I don't agree with the timing. There are other pieces of evolution that I do agree with, but I don't agree with that timing. I don't think the world has been around, as long as they say. And when they're talking a lot of times about people that are living, they date it back and they date it right, or at least very close to it, to what the Bible is dating. But then when they start finding other stuff that you really can't prove or dispel, it's got these dates that are further back than anybody can do anything with. All right. But nevertheless, DNA evidence is proving what the Bible has been saying about black biblical history, tracing these people all along. But I don't want you to forget, the Bible's saying we're all the same at the end of the day. Now, all the same does mean that everybody is connected and originated from the same place. They're all connected to somebody that's black. Okay? That's their origin. That's their origin story. Okay, I've talked about the Naku in China and the DNA evidence there and what, Ukraine, Russia, England, Spain, the other, just throughout the entire known world. And we're going to deal with a specific one tonight. But throughout the entire known world, we're finding these people, these remains. And when they research these remains, what they are finding is black folks, that these were black-skinned people. Let me clear that up. Black-skinned people. Oh, this is a good time to do this. Let me show you this picture first. Now I got something I need to take care of. This is in southern India. You have to understand that some of these pictures aren't old. Some of these statements aren't old. Some of these people are still there. All right, let me do this. I'm going to put this next set up. These are references that I want to make sure that you have. Some I've shown you before, some you haven't seen. I want you to hear me, okay? Some of this is a recap, and if you're paying attention, I'm lacing in new information with it, just like the folks I just showed you from India. Please get this. The word race itself is racist. It did not exist. I've talked about this in brief before. Just like I said, I'll find a good place to stop if I don't finish. The word race was created by the white man. That's not me being militant. That's who created it. By white-skinned people to separate black folks from white folks, to help to justify the greed that came from slavery, the greed that would result in slavery. That's where it came from. Before that, you were, Greek word ethnos, your ethnic group. Where did you come from? You may have come from Italy, you may have come from Rome, but that has nothing to do with, it's not a connotation, it's not an explanation, it has nothing to do with your color. Like if I said somebody's from Africa, of course you would assume that this is a dark-skinned person. But there were times when black folks are spreading out all over the world. I don't care who changed the narrative. That's true. And you're going to see some of that tonight. And I've been showing you. Look at some of the past videos, right? And so that you would talk about where you were from, what ethnic group, what you were connected to. That explains your culture, not your skin. But it was used for slavery. So now every time I hear the word race, it's like a bell goes off in my head because I know where that word came from and why that word came into existence. And we throw it around like it's common, but it's not. Oh my goodness, my head is just so, okay, I got to do this. Do you know that until there was an issue with the possibility of black folks voting and population and all of that, and I'm talking about, going into the 20th century, we're in the 21st now, okay? I'm talking about 100 years ago, thereabout. If you were Irish, you were Irish. If you were Italian, you were Italian. If you were Scottish, you were Scottish. Right? And some people were more accepted than others. All of them coming into New York on boats and all that, looking for a better life, yada, yada, yada. But when white folks thought there's going to be more power and there's going to be more power in the vote to make sure that we're dominant, they made all of those groups, those various ethnoses, they made them white. So now you might be Irish and have Irish descent, but you consider yourself as white. You may be German, have German roots, just a few generations back, fresh off the boat, but now you're considered as white. It's the same as race, same as the word race. It was all used for control to make sure that one culture stayed dominant over another. And these narratives that have been leaving black folks out of the story, making these early biblical characters white, and they weren't. Science is proving that white folks have only been around about 4,200 years, so they couldn't have been there in the Exodus. It's not possible. Now, one piece of research says 2,000. I don't agree with that. 42, I can buy that. Shem, Ham, and Japheth were not a white man, a man of color that would eventually be the Arabs in the Middle East. and then a black man that's in Africa? DNA is not saying that. All right, I'm going back on some of the older. Listen, this stuff is already recorded. I just get excited because, it's time for us to get past that. It's time for us to learn the whole of history. It's time for black folks to learn who they really are and what they have accomplished, traveling and affecting the entire known world. Building civilizations, governments that were first established were established by them. The Greeks, our country runs off of a democracy. The Greeks say they learned democracy from Africa. It's time to rewrite these stories. I don't have to do it in a militant way, like hating the white man and all that stuff's not in my heart. I'm not going to allow it in my heart, but I am fighting against those lies. It's time to get rid of those lies. Trying to put credit where credit is due so that a people that have been oppressed, that have thought that they couldn't accomplish much or nobody before them has ever done anything, needs to realize that the foundation of this entire earth was through people that looked like them. And science is making that true. Here's a couple of sources. These have been up before. One from the UK, the other one Smithsonian. Let me get through this real quick. Here's another one. I use this, I believe, the one from the Atlantic. I may have quoted it before, but this is the first time that I actually went through. I went through some serious, man. I had some great compliments last week saying, man, you got down in there this last week. But I had to study it so it made sense to me at some level, because I know who I am. I know what I know and what I don't know. All right, this is what we're going to take a look at. And I normally, with videos and things like that, I make them short. But I'm going to read this entire article to you. You need to hear this because sometimes you're reading things and it lays it out better for you. Now, this is Cheddar Man. And next to him is an Aborigine actor. And you can see the information there. The hair follicle that you see on that bottom picture, that's what this article from Live Science is about. All right? That's what this article is about. It's going to explain some things. It's going to be a segue that's going to help us understand the color of eyes, the straight hair. It's just going to bring some things out, and we're going to spend the rest of our time together working through those kinds of things, all right, and explaining why it's like it is, and I got some things I need to say. All right. A lock of Aboriginal man's hair unlocks secret to human migration. That's just simply the title. I can't see if I'm getting it on camera or not. That looks right. All right. So anyway, this was published in 2011 by Live Science, so you can look this up. You can Google it and find it. Using a genetic blueprint contained in a nearly century-old lock of hair from an Aboriginal Australian man, scientists have found evidence the Aborigines are descendants of an early wave of people who left Africa and branched off on their own as long as, I told you about me in these years, 75,000 years ago, before Asians and Europeans became distinct groups. This means Aborigines are likely one of the oldest continuous populations outside Africa, they write. In 1921, the hair was donated to the British anthropologist Alfred Cork Hayden, which was traveling through Golden Ridge near the town of Kalgoorlie in Western Australia. According to Morten Rummeson, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Copenhagen in Denmark and one of the international team researchers, the researchers used this sample, which became the first genome sequence from an Aboriginal Australian, to look far back into human history and clarify how our ancestors spread around the world from where? From Africa, where they are believed to have emerged. The lock of hair made good material for this kind of study because its owner was likely to have pure Aboriginal heritage. That's very, very important. Not yet mixed with European immigrants that settled in Australia in relatively modern times. A genetic analysis of the hair sample confirmed that thinking. The researchers sequenced the Aboriginal man's genome, has his complete genetic blueprint, and compared with those from Chinese, Europeans, and Africans by looking at the differences caused by mutations in the DNA code. The researchers were able to infer the populations should have an S there, maybe, I don't know, relationship to one another. The more closely the groups are related, the fewer differences their DNA should have. They found unique mutations in the Aboriginal man's DNA indicating that his ancestors must have branched off from Europeans and Asians before these two groups split. So they left Africa first, is what this is trying to say. So when Europeans and Asians were a single population, Aborigines ancestors were already on their way to Australia, Rumison said. However, all three groups showed roughly the same genetic distance from Africa, indicating they all split from Africans long ago, he said. So I've already shown you that, all of these various people from Africa that are in Europe, Russia, all those places, right? I've given you, and those are in earlier videos. I can't do a complete recap. We'll never get there anywhere, right? But it's important to understand that, those groups, I talked to you about the people in China, the first people in Asia, that they were black. 97.4% of the people that are living there now in China, of the Nuku people, they have African descent in their DNA. And it's very clear that it may have been many, many years ago, but it's very clear that they descended from Africa. This has been proven by science. The Bible talks about folks spreading all over the world. This is just agreeing with it and telling you, how. You might not agree with the when they did it, like me, but it is agreeing with the fact that this is where man started, and this is how man spread out, and everybody on this planet is connected back to Africa. What this article is talking about is that the Aboriginal people were the first ones to leave. Not much before everyone else, but they're the first ones to leave. All right. To check the accuracy of the results, the scientists used a total of 3 Han Chinese genomes, which they sequenced, as well as pre-sequenced genomes from 2 Europeans and 2 Africans belonging to Yoruban people. They found that switching the individuals used in the comparisons made little difference in the results, Ramison said. We are selecting a few individuals to represent a whole population. That does give some limitations. The more genomes we could add, the more certainty we could add to our more detailed, and the more detail we could add, he said. Small changes in our DNA code occur at a constant rate. So using this rate, the scientists were able to calculate an approximate time the Aboriginal ancestors split off from the ancestral Eurasian population somewhere between, and here we go again, 62,000 and 75,000 years ago. The calculation fits with the archaeological evidence provided by Mungo Man. Look that up. Don't have time right now, but look up Mungo Man, the name given to the human remains found near Lake Mungo in Australia and dated to about 45,000 years ago, since the split would have occurred before the arrival of the Aborigines ancestors in Australia, Ramison said. Based on genetic data, it is impossible to say where geographically the split occurred, right? And there's a note here that you can look at 8 grisly archaeological discoveries. You click on that and it'll take you to that. They also found evidence that the Aborigines' ancestors had fixed with archaic humans called Denisovans, I don't know, whose remains were found in the cave in Alta Mountains in Siberia. I don't know if you know what I just said. You know where Siberia is. So they're finding matching remains with some people in Siberia from some folks that are in Australia. The genome analysis indicated the Aborigines are not descended from ancestral Asian populations, the authors write. Rather, it implicates multiple waves of migration. The Aboriginal Australians descended from an early wave. Europeans and Asians appear to have emerged later as the result of later waves. Thousands of years after that, thousands of years after that, ancestors of American Indians split from Asian populations when they crossed the Bering Straits. Now, I've been saying the Indians were connected to their origin as Africans. I've been saying that for years. And this is agreeing. Now, if you understand what I just said to you, doesn't matter where you look in the world, there are people that live in in South America, right on the tip of South America, and they have the same black African blood traits as the Australians. How's that possible? I've shown you in other earlier videos about how the oceans have rivers. Can't remember what year it was. I believe it was 2015 or somewhere around in there. They put a boat, no sail, in the water in South America, and it floated all the way to Australia with no help. Why? Because there are rivers, as I said. So we understand when we start hearing stories, and I've seen some credible documentaries on television that talk about how the Aborigines were sailing to South America. Well, DNA has proven that they did. Because how would these people thousands of miles away have the same bloodline? Are you with me? All right, now, I want to give proper credit to this video, but I think something got messed up and in my cropping. And if this isn't right, I will make up for this next week and make sure you know where this is so that you can access this video. And I want to, again, give these people the proper credit. We'll talk about this on the other side.
Oftentimes, due to the society we live in that promotes the European standard of beauty, many Black women can feel like their beauty isn't good enough. But this is starting to change more and more as they realize their melanin really is kind of like magic. Everyone has melanin, both light and dark-skinned individuals. Melanin is a broad term for a group of natural pigments found in most organisms. It is the primary determinant of skin color. Black women greatly benefit from melanin because it prevents them from aging as quickly as other groups.
A study found that Black women's skin typically ages about 10 years slower than white women's skin. Here's why. Human skin has 3 layers: the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. Melanocytes in the epidermis produce melanin, a natural skin pigment. Melanin blocks UV rays, which can accelerate the aging process. Black men and women produce more melanin in their skin, which results in darker pigments. The more melanin in your skin, the more protection you have against the harmful effects of sun exposure. Too much exposure to UV rays can cause skin to age quicker, resulting in wrinkles and sunspots. Since white women produce less melanin, they can show signs of aging faster. This doesn't mean that Black women won't experience skin aging. It just happens at a slower rate.
Melanin is a molecule, and the concept of melanin is it is black in its nature, and we find it in the cosmos, we find it in the heavens, we find it in water, we find it in land, we find it in everything that exists.
Scholars and scientists have been having conferences about melanin, to my awareness, at least since the 1920s. These scientists said that the pineal gland, they refer to the pineal gland as a vestigial organ. That is a calcified gland within the body that served no purpose, as if the creator would create something that you didn't need. And it was only after the Vietnam War, in the late 60s and early 70s, that they began to rewrite their interpretation of the pineal gland. The reason for that was that a large number of African Americans fought and died during the Vietnam War. And whenever a soldier dies, there's an autopsy that's performed before their body is sent back to Dover Air Force Base. And what they discovered, what these physicians discovered, is that when they performed the autopsies, the 75 to 80% of the African American soldiers had a large functioning pineal gland. The pineal gland is normally about the size of your thumb. So it was not a vestigial organ in 70 to 80% of African Americans, but it is a calcified organ in 75 to 80% of people with European ancestry. So they began to reevaluate the pineal gland.
Now you know why black don't crack. Right? Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this so that I am not misunderstood. I've been wrestling with this for a minute. I put on Facebook one of my advertisements, promotions for tonight's show, dealing with the European standard of beauty. The European, and there are people that come against that, right? Women perming their hair. If your hair doesn't look like this, it's almost like saying you're not black enough. All of that is birthed out of our people searching for identity. You know, Negro, colored, I don't think we created that. Black, African American, you know. Now, and I don't know where we came with the, calling each other niggas on a regular basis. I think that might be we saying it, but you can't, and I don't know. But because of being stolen from Africa, being separated from our own, it created this need to feel reconnected to something African American. I wasn't born in Africa. To me, an African American is somebody that has just immigrated from Africa and has taken on American citizenship. Now, I don't have a problem with the terms and all of that to the extent that I think y'all shouldn't say that. But to me, I'm a black man. That's my comfort zone. You can do whatever you need to do. If that reconnects you with the motherland and all of that, that's fine. My point is that I want, before I show you this next piece, for you to understand that this is a part, our feeling like this is a part of an identity crisis. That here are the things that are black. You do these things. If you do anything outside of that, then you're not black. If you don't wear your hair natural, if you put a perm in your hair, then you are submitting to the oppressor. I don't agree with that. I wear my hair bald because that's what I want. Remember I just said I got to cut it every 2 days, 2 or 3 days. I wear my hair like this because this is what I like. Right? I have 4 earring holes. Why? Well, there's nothing in the Bible prohibiting my doing that. I do it because it's what I like. I don't know somebody else that does what I do. I'm me. I jump out of airplanes. That ain't a white thing. It's a me thing. It's what I like. I've owned several sports cars. I had somebody tell me, I didn't know preachers could do that now. What are you talking about? Bible has no prohibitions in that. And I'm going to apologize for being blessed? I have a Volkswagen in my garage now that I won't sell. You know why? Because I used to live in it. So you're going to tell me after going through all of that now I got to drive some conservative car just to prove something to somebody else? No, so culture will create these identity type things. And I understand where that comes from with us. I don't want to sound like I don't get it. What I want you to get is I already know who I am in Christ. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I don't need to be somebody else. I don't need to do a particular thing. These ladies' hair is off the chain. It's so beautiful anyway. But I don't need to prove that I love the people by not doing something that I might. And I'm hoping that I can get rid of some of that kind of thinking in the next few minutes. There is a group. They're in Somalia, Ethiopia, and Kenya. Right? They are the Borana or Buruna. Now, I've seen it spelled Boorana more than I've seen it spelled B-O. Matter of fact, it's the only place I've seen it spelled B-O. And I'm not saying one is right or wrong. What I'm saying is you may see it rendered in a different way, and if you do, it's probably talking about the same people. They're nomadic people. They are kind of a sealed culture. Not marrying outside of their culture, sticking together, moving from place to place. And as I'm going to show you, they've been around quite a while. Okay, they didn't start off yesterday. They don't subscribe to a lot of modern type living with television and things like that. So they may not even know what the European standard of beauty is. All right? They are people that are polygamous. They have more than one wife. And the lead wife has a lot of power and authority in their group. First thing I want you to catch, it's just an illustration, but look at her hair. Here is a modern picture of a Borana woman. Look at her hair. She run out to Walgreens and buy herself a perm. Why is her hair straight? How is her hair straight? Right? We ain't judging the edges and all that kind of stuff, right? Why is her hair like that? Why is the hair of these women? Why is it straight? Now, I don't know the names. This isn't even really my area. I just ran into some stuff that's absolutely blessed me. This isn't, so when I can't tell you about perm products, and matter of fact, I can't even name one now. These are traditional women in this particular tribe. Why does their hair look like this? What's that all about? They teaching these young girls to submit themselves to the European standard of beauty? Is that where that's coming from? No, I submit to you that long before Europeans even existed, let me repeat that. Long before Europeans even existed, before we could even come up with a standard of that kind of hair, these people were doing this with their hair, and this is what they used. Ghee. We use ghee in food. But they put it in their hair, braid their hair, and I'm going to leave it just about right there. Take it out and all that, and over time, their hair gets straight. But that was something that they did and enjoyed in their hair growing long before there was, and I understand why we picked up why people have that argument of you straighten your hair to look like them. I just want you to know there are people that look like us that look like what you say they look like long before they even existed. Our hair was straight first. That's my point. Got me? All right, I got about 5 minutes left. I don't want to go too far over. Okay, got something else I want to show you. This is important. We're going to talk about eyes. Can I finish this? Let me take a look at this. Answer to that question, unfortunately, is no. I don't have enough time. I can't get through it. And again, I'm not going to cheat you. So we're going to talk about where blue eyes come from. It's two different ways for that to happen in our next time together. There's two different ways for that to happen. But I'm telling you in advance, there are naturally blue eyes on black skin, and it's not from mixing with other races. Just like the straight hair with that picture, you know. Let me go back. Maybe you didn't catch that little piece because I didn't say anything. Let me see if I can find that picture. That's not nappy hair, but they're telling you this hair from 1921. They're telling you that's what this whole thing was about. That's pure. Her hair isn't like that from mixing. There are certain things when you're looking at melanin and other things like that in our skin. There's certain things. Some of it may be mutation, and some of it is just this is the way that it worked itself out. I'll make that make more sense next week. But the point that I'm making to you is you are going to discover that how many of us look started long before we had white folks with blue eyes, different colored eyes. I hope this makes sense to you, man. I want us to know our history, to come up to right, and to get past some of the things that have stood in our way. I know where some of it comes from. I understand that we have been oppressed, messed over, lynched, killed, all kind of other stuff that I'm not going to say because I told you your kids to keep white. All kind of things have happened. And it's still happening. But we have a history and a heritage, and we've gone down in some of these areas thinking that we have to prove our worth by separating ourselves. And that's not at all what God wants. It's what God wants. But I think the confidence from knowing who we are is what will take care of that. I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson. I hope you've enjoyed what we've covered so far. I'm going to pick up on some more of it next week. And by then, I may have pulled some of these other things I already know out, or I may find some new research and we won't even finish next week. It doesn't matter. As long as you get this, that's what's important to me. May the Lord bless you.